Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah Azza wa Jal accept our fasting, our prayers, and all the good deeds that we have presented to Him during the previous month of Ramadan. Today was the first day of Eid, and this day is a day of celebration, which the Prophet ﷺ instructed his ummah to celebrate, to be joyful. And this is a manifestation of the balance in Islam. Something that a lot of us may neglect or may ignore due to our ignorance in the sunnah of our Prophet ﷺ. You see, our Prophet ﷺ was the perfect human being without any doubt. So if there were any types of perfection in humanity, the Prophet ﷺ was the manifestation of that perfection. No doubt. And in chapter 6, verse 162, in Surah Al-An'am, Allah Azza wa Jal says to His Prophet, say, indeed, my prayer, my rites of sacrifice, my living and dying are all for Allah Azza wa Jal, the Lord of the worlds. All of these are devoted to Allah Azza wa Jal. If you look into his biography, alayhi salatu wassalam, you will find that the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam used to go out to jihad, to fight in the cause of Allah, as he used to revive the nights in night prayer and tahajjud, asking Allah Azza wa Jal for His mercy. The Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam used to mourn the dead of his relatives and companions, used to be saddened by that, as he used to be joyful and happy when playing with his grandchildren. The Prophet ﷺ was the one who used to race with his wives, showing his compassion and love to them by being playful and joyful. And it was him who used to teach, who used to judge, and who used to lead the prayers in the masjid. So there was this balance in his life. The Prophet ﷺ was afflicted by many calamities. We know what had happened to him and to his companions in the battle of Uhud, where 70 of his companions were martyred. His own uncle Hamza, may Allah be pleased with him, was mutilated and gutted. Mus'ab ibn Umair was martyred. We know what had happened to his companions in Bi'r Ma'una and in Ghazwat al-Raji', and the cowardly assassinations of them. Yet, despite all these calamities, this did not stop the Prophet ﷺ from being happy on the day of Eid, from allowing his wives and family to use the duf on the day of Eid, to sing songs and chant and play, despite all of their calamities and tribulations and sadness, which indicates to us the wisdom of the Sunnah that a lot of the Muslims don't know. Despite what is happening in Palestine, despite the atrocities, despite the barbaric attacks over civilians, whom 100 years ago opened their homes to these refugees coming from East Europe and from all over the world, barefooted, no clothes. They took them in. They hosted them in the middle of their houses, only to be kicked out of their houses, of their own houses, by these refugees. And now they're trying to kick them out of their own porches. And now the owners of the land are becoming refugees. And they're killing them. And they're bombing them. And they're putting them in a concentration camp, as if they themselves were not in a concentration camp decades ago, as they claim. When we see this, a lot of the Muslims, due to their ignorance, say that we should not celebrate Eid. We should mourn the dead. We should react to what's happening. And this is not the way of the Prophet ﷺ. The day of Eid is a day of jubilation. The day of Eid is where you express your servitude, your submissiveness to Allah Azza wa Jal through being happy, through being grateful and expressing your gratitude to Allah for completing the month of Ramadan. By doing this, you are expressing your servitude to Allah Azza wa Jal. Tomorrow, when everything is back to normal, when the Eid is over, we can begin our mourning. We can begin our relentless defense of the cause of our own brothers and sisters in Palestine, to expose such atrocities, to expose such ingratitude of these Zionists who took the place of the house owners and kicked them out. And unfortunately, the whole world is standing at their side against all the laws of the United Nations, against all norms. So we have to balance these feelings according to the Quran and to the Sunnah, and not just jump the gun and accuse people that you don't care about Palestine. You should not celebrate the Eid. You should not be happy. We have our role model, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to follow his example in sadness and in happiness, in grief and in joy, in comfort and in hardship. And by doing this, inshallah, we would strike the correct balance. Ramadan is over. And a lot of the good deeds that we used to do willingly, we're shocked by how less they are compared to yesterday. Why is that? Because the system was helpful. Everybody was fasting. Everybody was attending Taraweeh. Everybody was giving in charity. Everybody was trying their level best to gain as much reward as possible. Once Ramadan is over, the blessed month, then business as usual. People go back to their sins, go back to their negligence. Those who were lazy to pray in the masjid go back to their laziness. And this is a very dangerous sign.